By bus, it is about half an hour journey. If you walk, probably it will be 4 5 hours, probably 4 5 or 6 hours journey. So he almost reached, and on the way when he was coming, there is another place called Atharanala, which we had visited during our trip. Dandamangalila we visited. So there is one small river. So that place, Nityananda Prabhu breaks the sannyasa rod of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He had given him for holding when he was taking bath or something. That time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu breaks it and he tells somehow, no, I was holding and I fell on it and it broke. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very angry. But this was my only possession. I am a sannyasi. I don't have anything with me. This was my only possession. And that is also broken. You could not handle it properly. He gets angry and he proceeds alone to Jagannath Puri, leaving them behind. The Lord became apparently angry with him about this and went alone to Puri, leaving his companions behind. And Puri, when he entered the temple of Jagannath, he became at once saturated with transcendental ecstasy. So, as soon as he entered the temple, he becomes fully ecstatic and he fell down on the floor of the temple unconscious. He immediately falls on the floor and he becomes unconscious. So, seeing the deity of the Lord, deity of Jagannath, immediately he becomes ecstatic and he falls down unconscious. The custodians of the temple could not understand the transcendental feats of the Lord. But there was a great learned Pandit named Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya who was present. So those who were around the temple, those who were guards or pujaris, so they could not understand that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Somebody has come, they don't know who is he. He is like a sannyasi, young sannyasi has come, and suddenly after entering, he has fallen down and is unconscious. But this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was like Asthan Pandit of the king, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he was also the in charge of the Jagannath temple. So he sees and he could understand that the Lord's losing his consciousness upon entering the Jagannath temple was not an ordinary thing. So it was not an ordinary thing that he has come and lost his consciousness. Who was the chief appointed Pandit in the court of King of Odisha, Maharaj Prataprutra, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, was attracted by the youthful lustre of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and could understand that such a transcendental trance was only rarely exhibited. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very attractive, very, very beautiful. And when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw him, then he gets attracted by his youthful lustre. And he also understands that this is a rare thing. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in a state of ecstasy and state of trance. And such thing is only exhibited by the topmost devotees who are on the transcendental plane in complete forgetfulness of material existence. So it is not an ordinary thing to be imitated by anybody. Only a liberated soul could show such a transcendental feat. And Bhattacharya, who was vastly learned, could understand this in the light of transcendental literature with which he was familiar. So this Bhattacharya was very, very learned scholar, learned in almost all scriptures. And he was a Vedantist, Upanishads, Nyaya Shastra, but he also knew about devotional service. These Mayavadis generally think that this bhakti is like one step of coming to that impersonal realization. Once you get that realization of the Brahman, then you don't have to follow his bhakti. They consider this as a ladder. After climbing, you throw the ladder. It's not like that. So that is their misconception, because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has told the topmost yogi is not the jnani, the topmost yogi is bhakti. And only by bhakti one can understand me fully. And also, the Mayavadi's philosophy is filled with flaws. If you study with the Shastra, there will be a lot of flaws in their philosophy. Because they cannot explain what is the incarnation, why this world exists. They have no answer for that. They say only Brahman. And Brahman means it is without qualities. It is indescribable. You cannot describe Brahman. It has got no attributes. It has got no qualities. Like that they say. Then what is incarnation? They say that is Brahman only. Now it has taken one material form. Then why did Brahman take material form? They cannot answer. Out of compassion for the conditioned souls, it has taken. That means Brahman has got compassion. They say Brahman is attributeless. They cannot describe Brahman. It has got no qualities, no form. So they get stuck in their explanation when they want to give explanation of what is incarnation and why this world exists. They say we all are Brahman, that is one Brahman. And now that one Brahman has come into Maya, therefore it is thinking that we are all individuals. So then why did Brahman come into Maya? For that also they have no answer. Why did Brahman come into Maya? Then whether Maya is also there, then there is Brahman, there is Maya, then two things are there. According to them, there are no two things, only one thing. So their philosophy is of world juggling. Their philosophy is not of reason and logic. Their philosophy is word juggling. Simply take some word jugglery and that's no man with proper reason and logic can accept their philosophy. But Krishna consciousness is not like that. It is based on the Shastra and also it is fully you can reconcile. Your brain will not get puzzled by Krishna conscious philosophy. This Mayavadi philosophy, your brain will get puzzled. You will not be able to understand it because it is not the real philosophy. So this Bhattacharya was that Mayavadi philosophy, impersonalist, Vedantist he was. But he has also learned even other scriptures, Bhakti literature, everything he knows. But for them, Bhakti is just like one just ladder to reach that point. And he could understand that this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what state it is. It is the state of Samadhi state, which is, and it is not possible in ordinary people. He therefore asked the custodians of the temple not to disturb the unknown sannyasi. He told them, don't disturb him. And he asked them to take the Lord to his home so he could further observe his unconscious state. So he tells them, you bring him to my house, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. The Lord was at once carried to the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered Jagannath temple, he fell unconscious. That surrounding people, they don't know who is he, who has come, who is fallen. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya comes and he sees that, okay, he is in some state of trance. And he says, you please take him to my house. And they bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house. Who at that time had sufficient power of authority due to his being the Sabha Pandit or the state dean of faculty in Sanskrit literature. So he was kind of influential person, and he ordered all these servants of Jagannath who were there in the temple to take him to his house. The learned Pandit wanted to scrutinizingly test transcendental feat of Lord Chaitanya. Because often unscrupulous devotees imitate physical feats in order to flaunt transcendental achievement. Sometimes these kind of things are even imitated by so-called devotees or sahajiyas, false devotees. Sometimes they also imitate the external symptoms of an advanced stage of bhakti. Sometimes they imitate those things. Therefore, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wanted to test. So is he just imitating something or actually he is in that state? So why do they do this kind of artificial things or imitate just to attract innocent people and take advantage of them? Those who are cheaters sometimes they externally exhibit such symptoms just to attract people, to cheat people. They do such kind of thing. Therefore, he wanted to check it. A learned scholar like Bhattacharya can detect such impostor, and when he finds them out, he at once rejects them. For those who are learned, they can understand these kind of things. Because when you see their private behavior, you come to know all these kind of cheaters. Privately, they'll be doing all forbidden things, simple activities. Externally, they will be showing some kind of. You see in India, many times such cases come. Spiritual leaders, so-called spiritual leaders, they are caught into some scandals, put into the jail, or sometimes they, fly from the country. Recently, there was somebody, who has left the country and gone and created his own country. Somebody, he has created his own country. Still, there are blind people who follow. He was caught into some scandal. And I think some so-called spiritual leader is also in the jail presently because of all these kind of things. Sometimes they exhibit externally some things, but they are cheaters and imposters. So Sarabham Bhattacharya, he tested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a scientist, not like a foolish sentimentalist. Like a scientist, he tested what is his state. He observed the movement of the stomach, the beating of the heart, and breathing of the nostrils. So everything he was testing. And he also felt the pulse of the Lord and saw that all his bodily activities were in complete suspension. So practically there was no movement of the stomach, no heart beating, no pulses. It was totally in a state of trance. So like the doctor, he tested everything. He checked his pulse also. And he saw whether the stomach is moving. Because when you are breathing, our stomach will be moving. We may be unconscious. But when we are breathing, our stomach will be moving. And he checked his heartbeat also, nostrils, everything, but could not find any symptoms. Then he put a small cotton swab for the nostrils. And he takes a very small, very light cotton swab and keeps in front of the nostrils of the Lord. Then he sees that slightly it is moving. That cotton swab is slightly it is moving. Although there are other activities are suspended, slight movement of breathing person. Thus he came to know that Lord's unconscious trance was genuine. It was not some show, some fake display. And he began to treat him the prescribed fashion. But Lord Chaitanya would only be treated in a special way. So he tried to treat him so that he can be revived. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could be revived in one special way only. That is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So that he did not know. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the same state. So he would respond only to the resounding of the holy name of the Lord by his devotees. So this special treatment was unknown to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya because the Lord Chaitanya was still unknown to him. The Bhattacharya saw him for the first time in the temple. He simply took him to be one of many pilgrims. He thought that he is one of the many pilgrims who come to Jagannath Puri. He has come and he has fallen unconscious. So meanwhile, what happened? Nityananda Prabhu and others who were coming along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came alone from that Dandabhanga place. And they were all coming behind him. So they come to Jagannath temple. Because they knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely will go to Jagannath temple. But when they come there, they don't see anybody there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not there. But they come to know the devotees around there still talking about it. Somebody had come here, fallen unconscious. So when they hear these things, they come to know that, oh, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then they start inquiring, oh, where he is gone, where is he now, like that. At that time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law, his wife's brother, his name is Gopinath Acharya. He comes to the Jagannath temple, and this Gopinath Acharya is already known to Nityananda Prabhu and the devotees of Mahaprabhu because he is devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He already knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Gopinath Acharya. He is the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So he was known to Gadadhar Pandit. Gopinath Acharya was known to Gadadhar Pandit. And when they see Gopinath Acharya, then they start talking to his, our person, devotee. And he comes to know that they have taken Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. And he tells, he is my brother-in-law. He is my sister's husband. So come, I will take you. Like that, he takes all of them to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, whoever were there, everybody he takes them to Bhattacharya's house. And after going there, he introduces them. He is Gadadhar Pandit, like that, he is Nityananda Prabhu. And they see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they chant loudly Haribol. Then immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also loudly chanting, he takes up. After this, Bhattacharya received all the members of the party, including Nityananda Prabhu, and asked them to be his guest of honor. Then after that, they all go to sea to take bath. Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of them, they go to sea. And Sarvam Bhattacharya and Gopinath Acharya, they are there in the house. They also start some discussion. Gopinath Acharya says that no, he is the Supreme Lord himself, he is Krishna himself, who has appeared in this Kali Yuga. Then Sarva Bhattacharya, he also had his disciples. They start wondering, oh, how do you say his incarnation? But all their argument was based on Shastra. They were saying that where it is mentioned in the Shastra that there is an incarnation in Kali Yuga. So generally it is said, Tri Yuga. There is no incarnation of Krishna in Kali Yuga. That is a general understanding in the scriptures. But it is revealed hidden way that Channa Kalau, in Kali Yuga, he comes in a disguised form. And also in Bhagavatam, there is a sloka of conversation between Karabhajana Muni and sage king, what is the king's name? Nahi or something. So in that conversation, he asks him in different ages how people worship the Yuga avatar. Then he describes in Satya Yuga, in Treta Yuga, in Dwapara Yuga, like that he describes. So Satya Yuga, he describes the incarnation of the Lord, which will teach people of doing tapasya, austerities, because that is the Yuga Dharma for Satya Yuga. Then for Treta Yuga, he describes for incarnation about yajnas, who will perform, who will inaugurate this performance of the yajnas. And for Dwapara Yuga, he describes that how people will worship him as the Supreme Lord with grand worship, deity worship standards. And he describes that incarnation. And he describes about the future in Kali Yuga. And in each incarnation, he has described what will be the color, what will be the activities, and what will be the mode of worship. In all these shlokas, he describes these things. What will be the color of the incarnation, what will be the activities, and what will be the mode of worshipping that incarnation. So for Kali Yuga, he tells Krishna Varnam, Visha Krishnam, Sangopam Astra Parshadam, Yajne Sankirtane Yajanti Saviracham. So in Kali Yuga, Supreme Lord will appear in Krishna Varna. So Krishna Varna can mean Krishna's category, or one who is always describing Krishna. Both. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described his Atmarama Shloka in 64 ways. In 64 ways, he describes his Atmarama Shloka. Atmaramascha Munayo, Nirgrantha Pirukrame, Purvanti Ahitukim Bhakti Nittam Bhuta Gunohari. This is Shloka Sarvam Bhattacharya next. He asks him to describe this Shloka. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first asks him that you describe first. Then he describes in some ways. Then after that, without touching those, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes in 64 ways that shloka and establishes that all category of people, they worship Krishna. Kurvanti ahaituki bhakti, itam bhuta. All these classes of people, they perform ahaituki bhakti, causeless, unconditional devotional service to Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes that shloka in 64 ways. Because using Sanskrit grammar, because one word has got many meanings. Many meanings. One word has got many meanings. And also by the combination of breaking the words, all those things, you can derive so many meanings out of one shloka. But all 64, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proves that all kinds of people, they perform devotional service to Krishna. That time he gets stunned. That who can describe a shloka like this? He must be the Supreme Lord. And later on, he also shows in his form. I think he shows in his 6-town form. Rama, Krishna, and Chaitanya. He shows him. And another time also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this shloka. Apart from this 64, another number of explanation is one more place also. So they were discussing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the basis of Shastra. And because their relationship was like, sister's husband and his wife's brother. Sometimes they were joking, sometimes they were criticizing in these dealings. But all was based on the basis of the Shastra. So he tells him that you will accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a Supreme Lord when you get his mercy. He tells him. Then he asks, what is the proof that you have got his mercy? So they were because closely related, although they are arguing, fighting for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's that he is Supreme Lord and he is putting his points. Finally, they say, okay, let us stop. No, let us go for darshan, let us have prasadam. So like that they conclude. And meanwhile, so there were some friendly talks about Lord's divinity between the two brothers-in-law. And in the argument, Gopinath Acharya, who knew the Lord before, now tried to establish the Lord as the personality of Godhead. And the Bhattacharya tried to establish him as one of the great devotees. Both of them argued on the angle of vision of authentic Shastra. On the basis of Shastra, they were arguing not sentimentally and not on the strength of sentimental box story. Because the Lord Chaitanya was an incarnation of God, in fact, foolish fanatics have proclaimed so many so-called incarnations of God in this age without referring to authentic scriptures. That's why we also see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whenever somebody would tell him that you are Narayana, you are Krishna himself, he would always close his ears. So you cannot compare a living entity to Supreme Lord. It's also to teach people that in future, people should not simply start telling everybody that he is incarnation, he is incarnation, he is incarnation. Right? On some occasions, he accepted that he is the Supreme Lord. He would remain silent in some occasions. He would not say so. He would just remain silent. Then somebody will tell him. And some places he would just close his ears and tell that you cannot call a ordinary living entity. In some occasions, he displayed Radha Krishna form displayed to Ramanandraya, and he displayed Shadbhuja Gauranga form to Sarabhuja, like that. And we also saw in this childhood that Brahmana who was offering in his home, there also he showed. And in many places, personally, he has shown to some people that he is Krishna himself. But publicly, he never proclaimed that he is the Supreme Lord. And here, Prabhupada is mentioning that in Kali Yuga, there will be many imposters who will be claiming that they are the Supreme Lord. And we also see there are so many scriptures, so many Puranas which describe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. They describe the place where he will take birth, who are their fathers, who are their parents, father and mother. There is a collection of those shlokas, and you'll see if I can post it in the group. Is there in one or is one kind of blog? Many Puranas it describes his name, and his place, and his father's name, his mother's name. All those, and he will accept sannyas, he will go to Jagannath Puri. All those things are mentioned in different Puranas. But Saram Bhattacharya or Gopinatha Acharya did not indulge in such foolish sentimentalism. On the contrary, both of them tried to establish or reject his divinity on the strength of the Shastras. Later, it was disclosed that Bhattacharya also came from Navadvip area. So this Sarva Bhattacharya, he was also from Navadvip area. There is one place called Vidyanagar. So he was living there, and he had his one school where he used to teach this grammar and Nyaya. Later on, he came to Jagannath. And he and Nilambar Chakravarti, maternal grandfather, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother's father. So they were kind of similar age classmates. So when he comes to know that he is his grandson, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is grandson of Nilambar Chakravarti, who was my classmate, then he gets kind of son or grandson kind of affection towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Already he was attracted by seeing the features of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now he also develops that kind of feelings towards him, that he is just my known person's grandson. In that sense, the young sannyasi Lord Chaitanya evoked paternal affection from Bhattacharya. Bhattacharya was the professor of many sannyasis, the order of Shankaracharya. Although he was Grihastha, but he used to teach many sannyasis about this impersonalism. He was a great learned scholar, so he has studied all this Vedanta, everything. So many sannyasis, they used to come and learn from him this Advaita philosophy, impersonal philosophy. And he himself also belonged to that cult. As such, the Bhattacharya desired that young sannyasi Lord Chaitanya also hear from him about the teachings of Vedanta. So he thinks that he is my classmate's grandson and he has taken sannyas now and he is very young. It is very difficult to maintain sannyas order at this age. So unless he becomes thoroughly understands this Vedanta, this no, I am Brahman, everything is Brahman. So unless he understands this, it will be difficult for him to remain a sannyasi. So let me teach Vedanta to him. And he tells him, you come, I will teach you Vedanta. Like that. Those who are followers of Shankara cult are generally known as Vedantists. This does not mean, however, that Vedanta is the monopoly study of the Shankara Sampradaya. So somehow Shankaracharya, that is also there is a history, is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana. Mayavadam Asat Shastram Prachannam Bauddham Uchate. So Lord Shiva tells in Vishnu Purana that in Kali Yuga, I am going to preach a philosophy called Mayavadam. Mayavadam Asat Shastra, and it is a Asat Shastra. It is not the real Shastra, it is Asat Shastra. And it is almost like Buddhism, Prachannam Bauddham. It is like a covered Buddhism. Buddhism, you create one package out of it and present it as Mayavada. What was Buddhism? Buddhism is Shunyavada. Shunyavada means ultimately there is zero. Reality, there is no reality. Ultimately there is zero. And you should become zero. That is Buddha philosophy. They call it as Nirvana. So Nirvana means you become zero. That is their philosophy. Ultimately everything is zero. And if you become zero, that is the success. That is Buddha philosophy. It is almost like this atheistic philosophy or modern science. Modern science, what it says, from where it all began from zero. They say some big bang or something. Nothing was there. Then there was some bang. And after that, there was chemical evolution. Then there was biological evolution. Then there is small organisms. Then these organisms started evolving on their own. And now we have complex organisms. And if you ask them, can you prove? No proof. Because they have to demonstrate that nothing is there. From there, something they have to produce. Then they have to evolve chemicals. Then they have to evolve life. Then they have to show that yes, you see here. So this theory of evolution or Big Bang theory, if you see also, they are still known as theories. Theory means something which is proposed, but it is not proven. Then it is remained as theory. And on the basis of theory only, they are fooling people. Something which is not proved, and it is taught in the schools as if that is the reality and everybody is accepting this loudness. Because they do world generally. They also talk like equations, this, that. And also they are doing something, some advancement they are doing. They are making laptop, artificial intelligence, satellites, all this. People think that maybe what they are saying is true. Many people, they don't know it. I also came to that it is a theory after Prabhupada's teachings. Otherwise, we just believe what is told in the schools. So this atheistic philosophy, Buddhism is almost like atheist. Atheist means what? One who does not believe in the existence of God. And how do we know about God? From the scriptures. So those who don't believe in scriptures, they are called atheists. Atheist means those who do not believe in the scriptures. And somebody who does not believe in the scriptures but has got some faith that there is God or something, they are mostly sentiments. They have got some sentiment, is not bad because of some pious activities in the past life or some sukriti. They have got, although they would not have gone through the scriptures, but they believe that there must be some supreme power or some personality who are controlling everything. So they are called theists. Atheist means those who do not believe in the existence of God and they don't believe in the scriptures. And that was the main preaching of Buddha. Veda Namaniya Buddha Haila Nastik. Why Buddha was called as Nastik? Because he did not believe in the Vedas. When he was preaching, he rejected the Vedas. I don't believe in your Vedas. And why did he do that? That also there is a reason. What is that? Dashavatara Sutra. not remembering suddenly. So Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Pashubhata. Nindasi Yajna Vidhe Ahaha Shruti Jata. So he condemned the Yajna Vidhi, which is Shruti Jata, which is mentioned in the scriptures that you should perform sacrifice. Some specific sacrifices like killing animals and all. That is also there in some scriptures. Tamasic, for the Tamasic people, there is a recommendation that if you want to kill animal, then you kill only on the Amavasya day in front of Kali, chant this mantra, then you can kill and eat. That is to regulate, not to encourage. Because 29 days you cannot kill. Only one day, there is a restriction. It is just like government gives license for opening liquor shops or manufacturing cigarettes. Government also promotes that this is bad for health. No, on the cigarette packet is the cigarette cancer causes cancer, all these things. But because there are people, despite all these things, they will want to smoke cigarette or drink liquor. So for them, a system is made that you cannot just produce wherever you want or eat wherever, drink wherever you want. There are some designated places can manufacture, designated places you can go and buy. And there are also warnings. If you do this, this will happen. So a sensible man will give it up. So for such reasons, there are mentions of some sacrifices to regulate these kind of sinful activities, like performing sacrifices, all those things. And as soon as the Kali Yuga began, the Brahmanical qualities reduced. That was the symptom of Kali Yuga. Shringi. No, he also, no, out of pride, he cursed. That was the fall down of the Brahmanas. And there were no qualified Brahmanas in Kali Yuga. And people started using this mention of sacrifices in the scriptures as a reason. And they started killing animals without restriction. And it is said that the temples had become like slaughterhouses. Now also we will see sometimes the jatras and all. We go some places, they'll be sacrificing this sheep or hen or these things. So that time if you see that area will be full of blood. And especially for another community, they do once in a year this thing. Some countries and all, some social media, some videos will come. So the streets are like full of blood. Because so many animals they have sacrificed. Street is like there is a river of blood. It is said that temples in India, they have become like that. Kali temples and all. Where every day it's slaughter in the name of, it is said in the scriptures, they have to sacrifice. So to satisfy their tongue. So people were left and right without any discrimination. They were killing animals. And Buddha took incarnation, Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Pashubhata. So he became compassionate towards these living entities who are unnecessarily being killed. So he wanted to stop that. So he propagated ahimsa as the Paramadharma. He said, because they were saying this is dharma, killing animals is our dharma. It is told in our scriptures. So we are following dharma. So he said, ahimsa is the Paramadharma. And when you tell that, no, this is our literature, we are following our dharma, and he says, I don't believe these Vedas, I reject these Vedas. So Nindasi Yajna Vidhera Shruti Jatam Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Pashubhat. Keshavadhita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadish. It's Krishna himself who has now appeared as Buddha to show compassion to these living entities. And by his, because Krishna himself is preaching atheism, so he converted so many people to Buddhism. And people are becoming atheists. So by becoming atheists, they cannot get liberated. So again, to revive the Vedas, Shankaracharya, Lord Shiva, he tells in on the order of the Supreme Lord, I will take birth in Kali Yuga. Mayavadam Asat Shastram Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. So I will speak Mayavada in Asat Shastra for driving away this Buddhism. Asat Shastram is Mayavada Asat Shastra Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. So I will speak a philosophy which is Mayavada, which is almost like Buddhism only, atheism only. Because in Buddhism he said Shunya, everything is Shunya, ultimately Shunya. So he said ultimately it is not Shunya, something is there, but that is indescribable. It is Brahman. You cannot talk about it, you cannot No qualities for that. You cannot describe. It is some Nirguna Brahman. No qualities. And by teaching that, he brought back the Vedas. And then he drove away Buddhism. So if you see Buddhism, it is only in the now China, Japan. So it was all driven out. It was all driven out from India. Later on, recently, because of some Tibet and China, again they came to India and they have taken shelter in some place. In Karnataka, there is one place where officially they have given shelter to Buddhists. Otherwise, Buddhism was totally driven out of India by Shankaracharya. And he brought back the Vedas, study of the Vedas, Vedantas, and he also re-established worship of the deities in many temples. So although he is preaching this impersonal philosophy and all, common man cannot take this impersonal philosophy. It's so, you know, simply word jugglery. Simply word jugglery. Some class of people will be there who will be behind this Mayavada, impersonalism, I am Brahman, everybody is Brahman, I am Narayana, you are Narayana, everybody is Narayana. As soon as you take initiation, they think that now I have become Narayana. And they start addressing Om Namo Narayana. Everybody, any sannyasi. And later on, the same thing is developed by so many of people in India, so called spiritual leaders. Darindra Narayana Sistema. It has also come from that only. So Narayana has become Darindra. Poor people, we have to serve. He is also Narayana, I am also Narayana. But he is Darindra Narayana. I am opulent Narayana. So let the opulent Narayana serve the Darindra Narayana. So they have manufactured their own philosophy. So many mathas, so many visions, all these things. Don't want to take the names. All these are false philosophies, all born out of this Mayavada. And they have introduced their own concoctions into that. And so many concocted philosophies. So this Bhattacharya, he also was belonging to that Vedanta. And this Vedanta is not the monopoly of the Shankaracharyas because he stressed so much on this Vedanta. It became like, no, they became like Vedantists. But the original Vedanta is written by whom? Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta. And Krishna says, Vedanta Krit, Vedavid Evacha Aham. I am the compiler of the Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedanta. And if you read Bhagavatam, what was Vyasadeva's state after writing Vedanta? Still he was not satisfied. Then Narad Muni comes and he tells what is the reason of your not being satisfied. Because you have not exclusively glorified Krishna. That is the cause of your this state. And after that he writes Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam, he is just explaining what he has written in Vedanta. He begins with Janmadhyasya. Because Vedanta also begins with that Janmadhyasya. The Supreme Absolute Truth is the source of everything. And here he is telling who is that Supreme Absolute Truth. The Supreme Absolute Truth is Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, son of Vasudeva, Janmadhyasya. So he goes on describing. Like that, what is there in the Vedanta, many sutras are there, just like Athanto Brahma Jignasa. Now is the time for inquiring about the Supreme Truth or who you are. And the Bhagavatam describes Jivasya Tattva Jignasa. So same sutras are elaborated by Vyasadeva in Srimad Bhagavatam. So real Vedantist is the Bhakti Yogis. They are the real Vedantists. If somebody has understood the Bhakti Yoga, then for them this Vedanta is just like formulas. Somebody who knows the whole science, just like we have formulas in the science, E is equal to mc square. After deriving a lot of things, finally you come to the conclusion. And one who knows E is equal to mc square, he also knows how it is derived. So Vyasadeva churn this bhakti only, churn into get into Vedanta and then get into Vedanta Sutra. So when a devotee studies this Vedanta or Vedanta Sutra, he can clearly understand it is talking about Krishna. Whatever is being told, it is talking about Krishna. A devotee can easily understand. But somebody directly jumps to Vedanta, directly takes the sutras, without knowledge of ABCD and no other rules of science, what are the different laws based on which it is derived, directly go to E is equal to MC square. He can imagine his own interpretation. What is E, what is M, what is C, what is square. So the so-called Vedantis, they directly jump to Vedanta and Vedanta Sutra and try to give their own interpretation based on the knowledge of Sanskrit. They take Sanskrit, is written in Sanskrit. So they study Sanskrit. Okay, what is this Sandhi? And what is this rule? As per this, okay, this is the meaning. So it said, Apani Padu Yavano Grihito. So he doesn't know anything about Krishna. And directly he reads, he has no hands, he has no legs. Then he will start imagining, okay, what might be absolute truth? It has got no hands, it has got no legs. Next it says, Yavano Grihito means he can run, he can walk. And if you give something, he takes. This is the Vedanta Upanishad. He talks like this. Apani no hands, no legs. But he walks, runs. You give something, he takes. Then he will start imagining, what is this? Then they will come to the conclusion that it is indescribable. It is not having any form, it is not having any qualities, it is not having. So if you don't go through the proper system, then you will come up with your own crazy ideas, crazy thoughts. And they advertise themselves that we are Vedantists. We are studying, we are the students of Vedanta, we are the Vedantists. But the real Vedanti is the Bhakti Yogi. So when Bhakti Yogis, they read this Apani Padu, his hands and legs are not like your hands and legs. He has got transcendental hands, he has got transcendental legs. He can extend his hands anywhere it is there. Even if sitting here, he can extend it and take it. And if you run, nobody can catch him. So like that Vedanta, and there are other Vedantas just like Prabhupada has translated. Ishopanishad very clearly describes Ishabhasyam Vidam. He starts thinking about Isha only, Isha, controller, Supreme Lord. Ishabhasyam Vidam Sarvam, Yatkinch Jagatyam Jagat. And that also last shlokas, if you go, the prayer is, please show your face. Please remove the cleric effulgence which is covering your face. Please remove that cleric effulgence so that I can see you. So clearly there is description of having absolute having the face. But still, those who are not coming in the right line, right parampara, they may misunderstand, misinterpret, and give wrong meanings and misguide people. So this Vedanta is not the monopoly of the Shankara Sampradaya. Vedanta is studied by all the bona fide Sampradayas, but they have their own interpretations. But those in the line of Shankaracharya are generally known to be ignorant of the knowledge of the Vedantist Vaishnavas. Since they don't have the perspective of the Vaishnavas, how Vaishnavas see the Vedanta Sutras. For this reason, Bhakti Vedanta title was first offered to the author by the Vaishnavas. For this reason, Prabhupada was offered Bhakti Vedanta title, because they were claiming that they are Vedantis. So Prabhupada was first given this title, Bhakti Vedanta. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is saying that I will teach you Vedanta, then he agrees, okay. And both of them, they sit in Jagannath temple. And for 7 days, he goes on explaining Brahman, 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 Brahman. Different Vedanta Sutras, Upanishads, he goes on explaining. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is simply sitting and listening. No approval, no denial, no expression. Simply 7 days, whatever he is saying, just kept on listening. The Lord silence raised some doubts in Bhattacharya's. This is Bhattacharya, he becomes what is that? Agitated. Because he is not telling yes, he is not telling no, he is not asking any questions. Because suppose I'm teaching to somebody, then when I say something, then he will say like, then I know that okay, he is agreeing. And sometimes he will say, what? And I'm like, oh, maybe he has not understood or he has had some doubt. So if you don't make any expression, like a stone, if you sit, then you just go on speaking, then you will get irritated. You'll get irritated. What is this person? He's not telling that he has understood, not telling that he has not understood. What is there in your mind? Your understanding or not? He asked the Lord how it was that he did not ask anything or comment on his explanation of Vedanta. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he presents himself. I am just a fool. I am just a foolish student. And he pretended that he heard the Vedanta from him because Bhattacharya felt that it is the duty of the sannyasi. So because you are telling me, I am just listening to your Vedanta. But he says that I don't agree with your conclusions of the Vedanta. I know what is the meaning of the Vedanta. But when you are explaining, I am not able to understand. And he says the Vedanta is like sun. And there is no need of showing a torchlight to sun. Suppose I want to show a sun. And I say, come, I'll take one torchlight. No, I'll come, that gold torchlight, big torchlight. You see, it is sun. People will tell me he's a fool. Because for showing sun, you don't need a torchlight. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, your explanation of Vedanta is like you are showing torch to the sun. Vedanta is self-effulgent. The meanings are self-evident. There is no need of giving any interpretation when there is meaning is self-evident. Interpretation is required when something is not clear. Then one can give an interpretation. Oh, it means like this. When everything is very clear, what is the need of you giving the interpretation? Chaitanya Charitamrita describes as Gauna Vritti and Mukhya Vritti. Mukhya Vritti and Gauna Vritti. Mukhya Vritti means direct meaning. Gauna Vritti means indirect meaning. So directly it is telling something. Why we have to twist some meaning out of it and give your own interpretation? Just like Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, mattah sarvam pravardate. The direct meaning. What is direct meaning? Aham sarvasya prabhavo means everything is emanating from me. I am the Lord of everything. This is direct meaning. Now if you want to give your own interpretation, this aham is not Krishna. This aham is something which is inside Krishna. So this is called indirect or my own interpretation. When Krishna is telling something, there is a direct meaning. Why I have to derive my own meaning out of it? Because a lot of shlokas are like this. They give their own interpretation. What is that? Avajananti mahamudha manusham dharmashritam param bhavam ajananto mamabhutam maheshwaram. So fools deride me when I come to the human society. They do not know my superior cow sacrifice. All those things are not allowed in Kali Yuga. Only sacrifice which is allowed in Kali Yuga is this chanting of the holy names. With Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he establishes the authority of the Vedas and what is real Vedanta. The idea is that one cannot set his imperfect reason above the authority of the Vedas. Our reasoning is imperfect. We are not perfect. Therefore, our reasoning is also not perfect. So I cannot put my imperfect reasoning on the Vedas. One has to accept them as it is. The order of the Vedas must be obeyed as they stand without any mundane reasoning. The so-called followers of the Vedic intentions make their own interpretations of the Vedic intentions, and thus they establish different parties and sects of the Vedic religion. So among Vedas, they establish so many sects, so many parties. By their own interpretation. There is another Samaja who says only we will do only sacrifice, fire sacrifice. We don't believe in pity worship. One sect is there in India. They say we will just do yagnas. Vedas talk about yagna, we'll just do yagna. All this deity worship and all this. So they have created their own sects, even within the followers of the Vedas, they have created their own sects. By giving their own interpretations, wrong interpretations. When I was coming to ISKCON initial days, I had one of my colleagues, he was from that Samaj. When I started coming, I was chanting, I was telling him about this and all. Then he used to tell, "Hum to sirf yagna karte." All these things for us also all discoveries after coming in Krishna